I personally am a horror movie fan. Well, not just movies. Actually, I'm more of a I prefer horror in terms of stories and stuff like that, but mostly I like creepy stuff instead of just gory or startling things, which unfortunately has plagued the horror genre. But basically, I'm a horror fan. And because of this, I do expose myself to a lot of horror that's coming out all over the place. And I notice, and there's a lot of fan upset, I find, especially because I have this habit of watching a billion trailers in a row, and somehow I always end up with the trailers for horror movies. I don't actually see a whole heck of a lot of horror movies because, like I mentioned, I'm a fan of creepy, not gory or startling, and 9 times out of 10, a horror movie tries to scare its audience with jump scares, that's the startling I mentioned, and just gore all over the fucking place. I'm sorry, but that shit is temporarily scary or just disgusting. It's not creepy. Creepy things, like I know what the definition of creepy is halfway between safe and unsafe because your brain gets uncomfortable, but I like things that, you know, might stick with you for a while. Things like something jumping out of you is not going to haunt your dreams at 2 a.m. in the dark. Things like gore is just going to be like, oh, fuck, that's, oh, gross. I don't want to see that. And at best, you'll think about it later and it's like, oh, that's so nasty. Like seeing a freaking naked grandma or something. It's not going to be something that you're checking over your shoulder in the dark. But the thing that I hate in terms of horror movies, and like, sorry, no, wait till I get to that point. But a thing that a lot of people get mad at is the found footage thing, which I do find kind of annoying because I do get nauseous easily, so the constant moving around can make me kind of motion sick. Because the thing is that they think, we gotta make this more relatable to the characters, or to the audience, sorry, so that they're afraid of our movie at 2 a.m. in the dark. So they're like, okay, we'll make it seem like it actually happened. But nobody believes that shit actually happened since the Blair Witch Project. So, and I mean, I haven't even seen that movie, but I saw like parts of it, like a breakdown of it, and I'm like, it's like a fucking awful movie. People were scared of this bullshit. Anyways, so they're trying to, and then they're like, just trying to be scary and not creepy, and they don't realize that. But a lot of people are mad at the found footage thing. I was like, oh, it's always like demon possession or something supernatural or whatever. And I'm like, welcome to the horror genre. It's either that or a trope that I fucking hate, which is mentally ill person goes on a killing spree. Why do I fucking hate that? Because it makes people think, and it actually is a problem that people are thinking that if you have a mental illness that isn't other than depression and anxiety, because they see that, or ADHD, they see those ones as kind of the harmless ones and whatever, and they, you know, are more sympathetic towards those. Although ADHD, most people think it doesn't exist, but I can tell you it fucking does. Anyways, but they see schizophrenics as a ticking time bomb for when they're gonna go on a fucking murder spree. They see bipolar people as like flipping all over the place. At 1 second they're happy, the next second that they're gonna fucking kill you or something. And you know, the people with personality disorders are, you know, one of their personalities is a good person, but the other is a psycho killer. And I fucking hate these tropes because they're just fucking inaccurate. And wait, what do you mean it's inaccurate? Schizophrenics especially get the short end of the stick here. Schizophrenics are actually one of the demographics least likely to commit violent acts towards other people. Yeah, you heard me right. Out of, like, schizophrenics are less likely, in fact, than people without mental illness to commit violent acts against other people. However, they are far more likely to end up homeless, in domestic abuse situations, and committing suicide. I remember reading about this thing, and I don't know where I freaking bookmarked it, if I even bookmarked it, but reading about this thing about someone published this article how schizophrenics are hurting all these people, like, oh, the schizophrenics kill this amount of people and whatever, except the thing they fail to realize is that over 99% of the people dying at the hands of schizophrenics are themselves suicides. Not killing another person, they're killing themselves. Like, that's fucking awful that we demonize these poor people who just need one's help and understanding, and instead all they get are fucking hatred and fear. Like, And same thing goes for personality disorders and bipolar disorder, because everyone thinks that there's only one kind of each mental illness, when really there really fucking isn't. There are a variety of each kind. Even the more simple and more known ones. Depression, you could have different levels of depression. You could have seasonal affective disorder, which is you get depressed at certain times of the year, and everyone also thinks even with that one that it's only winter. You can have seasonal affective disorder where you get depressed in the summertime and are less sad in the winter. And then anxiety disorders, you have social anxiety disorder, you have generalized anxiety disorder, you have like there's so many different types of anxiety too. And with bipolar disorder, there's bipolar 1, there's bipolar 2, there is rapid cycling bipolar disorder, and I think there's a fourth one I don't remember the name of. With personality disorders is a broad term. There are so many different personality disorders, and just because you have a personality disorder does not mean that you have the one that everyone thinks that all personality disorders are, which is dissociative identity disorder, where, you have multiple personalities, so to speak, and you're not always conscious of what the other personality or mind or whatever the hell is doing. But most personality disorders just are that your sort of behavior changes depending on, it changes over during different points of time in your life. And you have, like for example, one of the more common ones is borderline personality disorder. And whenever people hear that term, they think, oh, you're a fucking crazy person with all these different personalities. No, the reason why it's a personality disorder is because you kind of have extremes of emotion, so it seems like you kind of change like who you are and your reactions and everything else, as well as you just have, and the biggest thing that makes it a personality disorder is that you don't have a concrete sense of self. You don't understand, like you don't feel like you have yourself, and you're always trying to learn who you are, but it's always changing so rapidly that you can't learn it, so you end up feeling awful about yourself because you think you don't have a self. And does that sound like a fucking psycho killer? No. These people are more likely to fucking hurt themselves and commit self-harm and all this other stuff. And all this stigma against people with mental illnesses, especially these scary ones, is fucking dangerous for the people with the mental illness. Instead of how the general populace thinks. Actually, did you know that the most common people to commit these atrocities, like killing people and fucking all this other stuff, have not been diagnosed with mental illnesses? But whenever, they're a thug, if they're, the typical, they're a thug if they commit a crime and they're black, they were just mentally ill if they were white. Because the reason why this happens is because we don't want to think that we're capable of being awful people. We think, oh, there has to be something wrong with them. They have to be sick in the head to commit these crimes. But they don't realize that that's actually the people who are sick in the head, so they have mental illness, they have illness in their head, in their mind, whatever, are actually more likely to hurt themselves than others. What I want to see is a horror movie where the victims are people with schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, personality disorders, etc. And the killer is some dude who thinks he's doing the world a service by eradicating all the people with mental illness. And that you're sympathizing with the mentally ill folks and hating the non-mentally ill, just fucking warped by society's perceptions. Dude who's killing everybody. Like, that's what I want to see. That's a horror movie that I would pay to fucking see. Because, first of all your horror fans are saying, oh, boring old trope, same thing recycled over and over again. This is not. This is something different. This is something new. And don't make it a found footage. Anyways, and it's something that's actually far more likely to occur in real life, as it has happened in real life. So, it's got that realism that horror movie creators strive for. So, yeah, let's see some of that instead of the boring old. But the thing is, I like the supernatural stuff. I think that's cool. Okay, I mean, they keep making movies from it because people like it. People pay to see them, so obviously it works enough for them to keep on making all these movies, right? So, I mean, though, the typical demon possession, I mean, maybe explore a little bit more, go a few more mythologies, because the typical Euro-American-centric kind of thinking is kind of getting overused, so maybe use some mythologies from, pagan religions or whatnot a little bit more, but don't bastardize them either. Anyways, thanks for listening to my 2 bits on mentally ill people in horror movies.